Steinbeck Vineyards is absolutely amazing. It's like the only time I've ever hunted anything close to this where you're hunting the rows of vines was hunting rows of corn, and they were very close together. Here, the experience as far as the number of deer, the quality of the deer that you have, the quality of the experience in terms of the people that you're with. One of the things I really admire about these folks is they really care about wildlife. It's not just about the vines that they have that the deer are eating. They're taking substantial loss each year on the amount of grapes that they could produce simply because they do have the deer here, but they love the wildlife, and I applaud them for what they're doing. In this instance, I was using the Mossberg Patriot in the tactical version. Initially, I was going to bring, or did bring my old 30-06 that I've had for a while with the wood stock, but unfortunately, I did have a little bit of a problem, not with the rifle, not with the ammo, but I think the airlines might have messed with my scope a little bit, so I was able to use Fred's tactical rifle, which proved to be absolutely, we knew, going to be totally accurate. The animal I shot, we had to sit down and wait for him and stand up for a long time, and had to really kind of thread the needle, not only between grapevines, but also with deer on either side. So I knew that the accuracy of the rifle made me very confident in the fact that I could pull the trigger, put the animal down without having any problem with possibly hitting another animal or the bullet being deflected. The deer herd here on Steinbeck Vineyards is very interesting in so many different ways, and the fact that there's a very high deer population, obviously because there's a tremendous amount of feed here for them in terms of the leaves on the vines for the grapes, and the quality of that particular forage that they're eating. We saw many fawns, which tells me, again, great nutrition. Probably 60, 70, 80% fawn crop. The buck to doe ratio is probably about 1 to 3 or something like that. Could be narrower if they were allowed to harvest does here, which would be really good for this population, really good for the environment, but particularly good for the deer as well too. The age structure on the bucks that we saw everything from talking about little 6-month-old bucks all the way up to 6-year and 7-year-old deer. Now, the deer that we harvested, we had an opportunity to really look at, knowing they were in really good body condition just from what we were seeing out in the field. But once we put those bucks on the ground, we were able to get into them, and most of them had tallow that was at least an inch, inch and a half thick on the back. Tells me they're in really, really good shape. And when I look at the antlers, those antlers compared to what would normally be produced in the country, very similar to this, without what they're doing here and without the food that they're getting, were phenomenal. Tremendous mass, tine length, spread. We had several different bucks taken that really kind of looked at, when you looked at them, they covered a broad category of antler styles as well too. So I like that from a genetic perspective. It tells me these deer have a good genetic base with a lot of diversity. But the herd itself, absolutely fantastic. The only thing that could help, I think, in the future is if the game department would allow them to start taking some does. That would decrease the population a little bit and make everything a little bit healthier.